It was winter, the kind that silences even the strongest hearts. The year, 1873. Northern England lay buried under ice and despair. The St. Mary's Orphanage sat on the farthest edge of the village. A Gothic building once filled with laughter, now ruled by whispers and cracked walls. That morning, a horse carriage arrived through the snowstorm, its wheels screeching against frozen ground. Inside sat a pale young girl, Catherine Doyle, barely 10 years old, her eyes far older than her face. She carried a small wooden music box, chipped and dusty, its melody faintly echoing inside the carriage. When the doors opened, Sister Mary greeted her. "Welcome, child," she said kindly. Catherine didn't respond, she only stared. That silence stayed in the sister's mind long after the door closed behind them. Inside, the air smelled of old wood, candle smoke, and prayers unanswered. The other children watched Catherine with curiosity and a little fear. By nightfall, everyone was asleep, everyone except Catherine, who sat by the window, winding her music box again and again. Its melody filled the dormitory, soft, haunting, strangely familiar. The next day, strange things began happening. Doors opened on their own. Books fell from shelves without reason. And in the prayer room, Sister Mary swore she heard children laughing. But when she turned around, the room was empty. The whispers grew louder at night. Some said they heard footsteps behind the walls. Others swore the old bell in the tower rang at midnight, 3 times, always 3. Catherine never spoke a word, but every night her lips moved as if whispering to someone unseen. When asked about her parents, she only wrote one sentence in her notebook. "He said he'd come for me." Sister Mary showed the note to the head nun, Mother Agnes. Mother Agnes frowned. "She's frightened, that's all." But her voice trembled, because she too had heard the music box the night before, even though it was locked away in Catherine's drawer. That same evening, a storm rolled over the village. Thunder cracked the sky open and lightning struck near the orphanage bell tower. The power of nature made everyone rush to their rooms except for one. Sister Grace went missing. They searched the entire building. Only her rosary was found, lying beside the altar, with drops of melted candle wax that smelled faintly of something burnt. And the music box? It was playing by itself again. 3 nights later, fear consumed the orphanage. Mother Agnes ordered everyone to stay in their rooms after dark. But Catherine didn't obey. She was seen walking toward the chapel at midnight, barefoot, her music box glowing faintly in her hands. Sister Mary followed her quietly, afraid but curious. The girl stopped near a hidden staircase behind the altar, one that hadn't been used for years. Without hesitation, Catherine walked down. Sister Mary followed, step by step, until the air grew thick and cold. Beneath the church, they found an underground chamber, a place no one remembered existed. Old coffins lined the walls, and strange symbols were carved into the stone floor. Catherine stopped beside a small wooden cross, half broken, covered in wax and dust. She set the music box on top of it and finally whispered her first words. "He's waiting here." Suddenly the music stopped. The candles went out, all of them. And in the silence, Sister Mary heard a voice behind her, deep, male, echoing. "You shouldn't have followed her." When the nuns entered the chapel the next morning, both Catherine and Sister Mary were gone. Only the music box remained, its tune playing backward softly, endlessly. 3 days had passed since Catherine Doyle and Sister Mary disappeared. The snow had melted into mud, and the silence of the village turned into murmurs. Everyone had a theory, but no one had the courage to speak it aloud. Detective Inspector Thomas Graves arrived from London that morning. A tall man with sharp eyes and a colder heart. He'd solved many cases, but this felt different. He stood before the orphanage gates, his lantern flickering in the wind, and whispered, "Wherever the truth hides, I'll find it." Inside, the air smelled of smoke and fear. Mother Agnes greeted him with trembling hands. "We've searched everywhere, Inspector. The child, she's gone. And the sister who followed her too." Graves walked around the chapel, the wax stains, the broken cross, the faint smell of burning wood. Then he noticed something the others had missed. A trail of small footprints, leading to the hidden staircase. At the bottom, he found the music box, and silent this time, but still warm to the touch. He opened it. The melody began to play, slowly, hauntingly backward. And just for a second, he heard a whisper, faint but clear. "Find my father." Graves froze. He turned, but no one was there. That night, the detective stayed in the orphanage archives. The room was cold, the ink bottles frozen from neglect. He read every record of every child admitted in the last 10 years. No name matched Catherine Doyle. Frustrated, he turned to Mother Agnes. "You're lying," he said. "There's no record of that girl." The nun lowered her gaze. She was brought here without papers, left on the doorstep by a stranger. Graves leaned forward. "What kind of stranger?" Her lips trembled. He wore a priest's collar, but his eyes, they were not human. Outside, the church bell rang 3 times, though no one was in the tower. Graves looked up sharply. 3 rings. Every night. Why? Mother Agnes crossed herself. "It's how the dead speak, Inspector. Every ring means a soul that wants to return." The next file Graves opened belonged to Reverend Samuel Doyle, Catherine's supposed father, a priest who was executed 6 years ago for the murder of 12 children in the same region. His final words before hanging were written in the file. "I'll come back for the 13th. Graves's hand shook. He whispered, "The 13th was Catherine." That night, as the clock struck 12, Graves returned to the chapel alone. The storm outside roared like an angry beast. The air was thick with moisture, and the scent of candle wax filled the silence. He stepped carefully, every footstep echoing across the wooden floor. Then he saw her. Catherine. Standing near the altar, barefoot, holding the music box, her face pale as snow, her eyes dark as the night itself. "Catherine," he called softly. She tilted her head. "You shouldn't have opened the box." The melody began again, this time not backward, but slower, deeper. The sound seemed to come from beneath the floor. Suddenly, the ground cracked open, revealing the hidden chamber again. Flames flickered below, and voices screamed, dozens of them, children's voices crying for help. Catherine turned to him. "My father is awake now." Graves reached for his gun, but the candlelight blew out. In total darkness, a man's voice whispered behind him, the same deep tone from the music box. "You found me, Inspector. Now let me finish what I started." A scream echoed through the orphanage that night, one that made every villager wake in fear. But when they came running, the church was empty. No detective, no girl, only the music box, spinning endlessly, glowing faint red. By the time Detective Miles returned to Catherine's old family house, the evening had fallen silent, too silent for a town known for its restless winds. The manor stood like a tomb, half consumed by ivy and regret. The air was heavy, like it was hiding something alive within those broken walls. He stepped through the door. Dust rose like ghosts awakening from a century's sleep. Every corner whispered Catherine's name, but not as a memory, as if she was still there, waiting. Miles found Catherine's diary beneath a cracked wooden floorboard. The ink was old, but the words were fresh, like they were written yesterday. "He listens when I sleep. He speaks through the walls. I tried to warn them." His hands trembled. Each page revealed a conversation, not written to anyone, but by someone using her hand. The child had been a vessel. Something else was speaking through her. Then the whispers began again, the same words that Catherine once spoke in the orphanage. "He never left the house." Miles turned, flashlight trembling in his hand. A shadow crossed the hallway, tall, wrong, moving against the light. The temperature dropped. His breath turned to frost. Something old had awakened with his presence. From the corner of the room, the faint sound of a lullaby began, Catherine's lullaby. A music box was turning by itself, its rusted key spinning slowly. As the tune grew louder, Miles saw something horrifying in the mirror. Catherine's reflection, standing right behind him, eyes black as the night. The mirror cracked, and everything went dark. Woke up, he was lying in the same hallway, but it looked different. The air felt heavy, ancient, and the furniture had shifted like time had rewound itself 100 years. The house wasn't abandoned anymore. Candles were burning, and somewhere below, faint footsteps echoed from the cellar. He called out Catherine's name, no answer. Only the creak of the floorboards and slow, deliberate like someone walking beneath him, sound to a hidden door behind the fireplace. It was sealed shut with iron locks etched with markings he couldn't recognize. When he forced it open, a gust of freezing air escaped, carrying a scent of decay and something metallic, blood maybe centuries old. The stairs led into blackness deeper than any basement should go. On the walls, carvings told the story of the Doyle family, their lineage cursed, bound to a spirit they called the Listener. The cellar. There was a wooden cradle. Inside a bundle wrapped in white cloth, but it moved. When Miles reached to lift it, he froze. A whisper spoke directly into his ear. "You came too late." The cloth fell away. Inside was a doll, Catherine's doll, the same one from her orphanage file photo. Its eyes opened, and it spoke. "He lives through us now." Walls began to pulse like living flesh. Faces pressed against the stone from inside, screaming silently, as if trapped within. The air grew thick and the same lullaby echoed again, only slower, distorted. Miles tried to run, but every door he opened led back to the same cellar. Time folded in on itself. The listener had claimed another voice. His. Moments Miles heard Catherine's voice one last time, soft and sorrowful. "They never believed me. But now you do." The lantern went out. Only the sound of the music box remained. And somewhere, deep beneath the Doyle Manor, another whisper began to write its name on the walls. The night had fallen heavier than ever. Over Doyle Manor, Miles sat in the candlelit library, trembling hands holding Catherine's diary, its pages breathing like a living thing. Every word now rearranged itself, whispering in a child's voice. "You took my silence. Now I'll take your soul." He dropped the book, and the air turned cold. The scent of wet soil and old blood filled the room. The grandfather clock struck 3:07 a.m., the exact time Catherine was buried alive. Miles ran through the corridor, his breath echoing. Portraits on the walls began to weep, not paint but blood. Every step led him back to the same door, the child's bedroom. When he opened it, the room was untouched. But in the corner stood Catherine, her white dress soaked in dirt, her eyes hollow yet glowing faint blue. She whispered, "You came to find the truth, Miles, but the truth found you." Miles fell to his knees, begging forgiveness. "I was only doing my job," he cried. Catherine stepped closer, her small hand reaching toward his face, and suddenly, the wallpaper behind her peeled off to reveal a hidden door. Inside was a small coffin, and carved on the lid in fresh red letters was Miles Doyle. The realization hit him like thunder. He wasn't just investigating the curse, he was its next chapter. He tried to escape, but the floorboards melted like flesh beneath his feet. The manor itself came alive, screaming through the wind and rattling windows. The diary floated mid-air, flipping to a blank page. And then in glowing red ink, new words appeared on their own. 1871 was hers. 1878 is yours. As the clock struck again, Miles's scream vanished into silence. The house exhaled. Everything went still. Weeks later, local authorities found the manor burned to ashes. No trace of Miles Doyle. Only a single object survived in the diary. And on its last page, one new sentence. "Next time you read this, I'll be you." The camera pans out as faint laughter of a little girl echoes through the smoke.